The fog swallowed Mia's car as she pulled into Whispering Pines campground, the silence unervingly thick. A scratch sign warned, "They hear you." Then, from the dark, a whisper hissed her name. Mia, heart pounding. She gripped her flashlight, unaware the forest was already watching, waiting to claim her. The Whispering Pines. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth as Mia pulled into gravel lot of Whispering Pines campground. Her old Toyota Corolla groaned as it came to a stop, headlights cutting through the twilight fog. She'd driven 3 hours from Portland, Oregon, to this remote stretch of forest for a weekend of solitude, her first since the divorce. The campground was nearly deserted, just as she'd hoped. Only one other vehicle, a rusted pickup, sat at the far end of the lot. Mia grabbed her backpack and flashlight, locking the car with a chirp that echoed unnaturally in the stillness. The sign at the entrance read, "Whispering Pines, Nature's Retreat." Below it, someone had scratched in crude letters, "They hear you." She frowned, chalking it up to teenage vandals, and headed toward the trail leading to her reserved campsite, number 13. The forest was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no rustling leaves, just the crunch of her boots on the path. The trees loomed tall, their branches knitting together overhead, blocking out the last slivers of daylight. Her flashlight beam danced across the ground, catching glimpses of roots and rocks. She checked her phone. No signal. Of course. That's what she wanted, right? To disconnect. By the time she reached campsite 13, the fog had thickened, curling around the fire pit and picnic table like ghostly fingers. She set up her tent quickly, the nylon fabric snapping in the breeze. Inside, she unrolled her sleeping bag and tried to shake the unease creeping up her spine. It was just the isolation, she told herself. She'd been in the city too long. As night fell, Mia built a small fire, its crackle the only sound in the oppressive silence. She roasted a hot dog, the smell comforting but fleeting. Then she heard it, a low whisper, like a voice carried on the wind. Mia, her head snapped up, heart pounding. She scanned the darkness beyond the firelight. Nothing, just the trees swaying slightly, their branches creaking. "Hello?" she called, her voice trembling. No response. She laughed nervously. "Great, now I'm hearing things." She tossed another log on the fire, sparks spiraling into the night. But the whisper came again, closer this time, from the direction of the trail. "Ma, come see." She froze, her breath catching. It wasn't the wind. It was a voice, low, raspy, almost human, but not quite. She gripped her flashlight, its beam shaking as she pointed it toward the trail. The light caught something, a fleeting shape, tall and thin, darting between the trees. Her stomach dropped. "Who's there?" she shouted, standing up. The fire popped loudly, making her jump. Silence. Then, from the opposite side of the campsite, another whisper. "We see you." This time was behind her. She spun around, flashlight sweeping the darkness. But there was nothing, just the endless rows of pines, their needles glinting like eyes in the firelight. Mia's pulse raced. She grabbed her pocket knife from her bag, its small blade feeling useless but better than nothing. "This isn't funny," she yelled, her voice echoing into the void. She backed toward the tent, eyes darting between the trees. The whisper stopped, but the air felt heavier, like the forest was holding its breath. She crawled into her tent, zipping it shut with shaking hands. Inside, she sat cross-legged, knife in one hand, flashlight in the other, listening. The fire outside hissed as it burned low. Then, a new sound, a slow, deliberate crunch of footsteps circling the tent. She clamped a hand over her mouth to stifle a whimper. The steps were heavy, uneven, like someone or something dragging their feet. "Mia." The voice was right outside the tent now, so close she could almost feel its breath through the nylon. She clicked off the flashlight, plunging herself into darkness, hoping whatever was would move on. The footsteps stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but her own ragged breathing. Then the tent shook violently, as if something had slammed against it. She screamed, dropping the knife. The fabric bulged inward, like hands pressing from the outside. She scrambled for the knife, her fingers fumbling in the dark. When the whispers started again, multiple voices now, overlapping, coming from all sides. "You can't hide. We know, we see." Mia's mind raced. She couldn't stay here. She had to move. Grabbing her backpack, she unzipped the tent and bolted out, not daring to look back. The fire was out, the campsite shrouded in fog so thick she could barely see 10 feet ahead. She ran toward the trail, flashlight beam bouncing wildly. The whispers followed, growing louder, more insistent. "Don't run, stay with us." Her foot caught on a root, and she fell hard, the flashlight skittering into the underbrush. Pain shot through her ankle, but she forced herself up, limping now, using the dim light of her phone to navigate. The trail seemed different, narrower, the trees closer, as if the forest itself was closing in. She glanced back and saw them, shadowy figures, tall and impossibly thin, their limbs bent at unnatural angles, gliding through the fog. Terror propelled her forward. The whispers were everywhere now, a chorus of voices blending into a single, horrifying hum. She stumbled onto a clearing she didn't recognize, the trail markers gone. In the center stood a circle of stones, each carved with strange, jagged symbols that seemed to pulse in the faint moonlight. Mia stopped, chest heaving, as the figures emerged from the fog, surrounding the clearing. They didn't move like people. Their bodies swayed, heads tilting at impossible angles, eyes glowing faintly like embers. One stepped forward, its voice a guttural hiss. "You recall, you came. What do you want?" Mia screamed, backing toward the stones. Her phone slipped from her hand, landing in the dirt. The figure didn't answer. Instead, it raised a long, bony hand, pointing at the center of the stone circle. The air grew colder, the fog swirling faster, forming shapes, faces, hands, eyes, watching her. She turned to run, but the figures were closer now, blocking every path. The whispers grew deafening, filling her head until she could barely think. "Join us, stay." Her vision blurred, her legs heavy, like she was sinking into the ground. She stumbled into the stone circle, collapsing in the center. The symbols on the stones glowed brighter, their light searing into her eyes. Then silence. The figures were gone. The fog lifted slightly, revealing the clearing, empty except for the stones. Mia's heart pounded as she scrambled to her feet, grabbing her phone. The screen was cracked but still worked. No signal, but the time read 3:33 a.m. She'd lost hours. She limped back toward the trail, desperate to find her car. The forest felt different now, less hostile, but still wrong. The trees seemed to lean toward her, their branches brushing her shoulders. She found the trail, then the gravel lot. Her car exactly where she'd left it. The rusted pickup was gone. Mia threw her backpack in the back seat and peeled out, gravel spraying behind her. The road out of Whispering Pines was narrow, winding through the forest for miles. She kept checking her rear-view mirror, half expecting to see those figures gliding after her. But there was nothing, just darkness. She didn't stop until she hit a gas station an hour later. The fluorescent lights a stark contrast to the forest gloom. The clerk, an older man with tired eyes, barely looked up as she stumbled in, still shaking. "You all right, miss?" he asked, glancing at her dirt-streaked clothes. I was at Whispering Pines," she stammered. Something was out there. Voices, figures. He cut her off, his face hardening. "Don't talk about that place. Folks go in, but not all come out right." He slid a cup of coffee across the counter. "Drink this, then keep driving. Don't look back." Mia took the coffee, her hands trembling. She wanted to ask more, but his expression told her to drop it. She paid for the gas and got back in her car, the clerk's words echoing in her head. As she pulled onto the highway, she noticed something in the passenger seat, a small, jagged stone, identical to the ones in the clearing, its symbols faintly glowing. She screamed, swerving onto the shoulder, and threw the stone out the window. It hit the pavement with a dull thud, its glow fading. She floored the gas pedal, determined to put as much distance as possible between her and Whispering Pines. Back at the campground, the fog rolled in again, thicker than before. The stone circle stood silent, the symbols pulsing faintly. In the distance, the whispers began again, soft and inviting. Next, come see. The forest waited, patient and hungry, for the next soul to answer its call. Aftermath. Mia never returned to Whispering Pines. She moved to a new city, changed her number, and avoided forests. But at night, when the world was quiet, she'd hear it, a faint whisper calling her name. She'd check her locks, close her curtains, and tell herself it was just her imagination. But deep down, she knew the truth. The forest had seen her, and it never forgot.